Good morning. Okay, so yeah, market's coming in here a little bit. So interest rates spiking up here and almost to 21. And so in our ETF letter, we're going to sell half of this position that we've been in for a while. We talked about this bottoming out last year, monitored this for quite a while. And what these bands are that I put on here, just two colored things, was to depict the fact that there was a trading range within a trading range. And we were waiting, expecting this to start moving higher. So typically on these kind of gaps, is going to get some selling coming in, and that might help the markets that are sold off a bit here. And where is our bonds? Oh, here we go. Which are getting down to that level that we've been talking about for the longest time. So they got a little bit more room to get to the bottom of it. But you can see it's right in here in this support level. So those interest rates will probably go a bit higher, but the gap might get them to come in a bit here, at least in intraday. So this isn't done. I think that these interest rates will go higher, but this gap up, you could see this up here at 2080. Just gapping that far after going up. I mean, just historically, it's going to find some sellers, and then we'll see how far it retraces. All right, markets. Let's see where the futures are, and then we'll get to SPX. So they were up here, right? They hit this resistance from yesterday's high and coming in here pretty damn fast. I don't know if there was some news that occurred or anyway, coming down pretty hard. And so what today going to be? Just forgetting about the price action right now for this moments. Typically after a wide range day, you get an hour range day historically, which could result in an inside day today. So it's a pretty long way down to yesterday's low. It's not that far to yesterday's high. Whether it can get through that, well, we shall see if it recovers from this right now. Right? It's like historically, inside day, narrow range day. We'll see where that ends. But if we could get that narrow range day that stays in the upper half of that wide range bar, that would start to become an encouraging, more bullish pattern. So coming down this far, this fast, brought in buyers, came right in between what I talked about in the weekend letter, between the 20 and the 50. And I said there, we're not looking for an exact number. In this case, 3,800, right above the 50 is going to be a focal point for futures traders. And so it bounced back up. So let's go to SPX. And so a few levels here. I always look at what's the most extreme. That seems highest probability of not being a concern. And so I don't know, the premiums are probably moving here, but what I've got here on the call side, well, 3,900 is one, which is going to be the most, or at least probability of not sweating, so to speak. I mean, the markets are pulling back here a little bit. So that increases the thought of possibly doing that, right? The closer you get to the danger, the more premium you're going to get, and the greater the odds of experiencing something unpleasant, and if the market should rally. 3810, right? You're above this high here, and there's a good amount of open interest right there. Now, the fact that the market's going down might take this out of the possibilities of doing, but as I was looking at it before, 39.30 had premium where it was doable, but it might not have it now. I don't know. But that was what I would call the sure thing. Right? Take that with a grain of salt. But up there at 39, getting back up there today would seem highly unlikely. Okay. So on the downside, starting the downside, which would be 38.30, and anywhere between 38.30 and 38.05 should be fine. McGraw's telling me 37.95, and if there's juice down below there, 37.95. Yeah, there is. So yeah, you can get even further away. 37.90. So down below the bottoming tail bar, which and should be fine. So you pick your levels. Don't get any closer than 38.30. I wouldn't do that at the open. You'll see where things are at as they start to come down. But the thought of an inside day, staying inside of that range, down at the bottom of the range and up above here, of course, should work out. And then look at your intraday patterns to see how things are shaping up. All right. Good morning, Fabio. Fabio's on YouTube there. All right, let's see where the other markets are at. So we looked at the S&Ps. They're coming down here. 38.50. Yeah, well, it gets through. And I don't think it's getting through 38.50 today, especially that it's moving down right now. It's not getting above there today. Ray gun or no ray gun. All right. Nasdaq clearly has been the one with relative weakness. And yesterday came right down to the prior low there. That's where I went long. The NQs spiked down there. The way it was going, it was like a no-brainer, right? And I didn't get the whole range. But it didn't do that intraday. It went up, it came down, and eventually, did more. So in here, as it's coming down to this level right here, and we'll see if this holds here as the markets open up. And you see the 5 has broken down through some support at this level. It's at the next level. It's got a void below, but probably the same thing, inside day. It'll be interesting to see where this ends the day, if it really does come all the way down here. And of course, we're always interested at the end of the week what our weekly chart looks like. So a bearish close down here would then put us, of course, as we always do, into our factory work of saying, well, that's about the middle of that weekly bar, give or take, which kind of puts us right at those tails up there. And staying down here would open up the door to further downside. Right? 310 for Qs for Friday. Dan spoke about that yesterday. I think we have to wait till see how today shapes up, but we'll see how much buyers want to step up here in the first 5 minutes or so. But it's certainly an idea to consider. You got all these pivot lows or cluster of support down here, and buyers showed up again. So I think if it went down there, it definitely would be an intraday technical bounce, and we just see how far it went. But I'd like to see how much buyers want to step up here today. Someone asked about sentiment. Sentiment actually, I think we looked at this in the room yesterday. At the end of the day, it actually did not come down at all. Right? These institutions are so hopped on this market with a belief that it's just has no possibility of any type of correction. And who knows? Maybe they're right. I mean, this is not a big deal from a long-term perspective. And then, with interest rates going up like they are and the yield curve steepening, while, higher interest rates always become a concern for the markets, um, they're still historically so low that it's really not that big of a deal. But there's always that balance of, hey, they were much lower a month ago and now they're here. And so you got to take notice of that. But breath wasn't so bad yesterday, 775. So on a nasty down day, and of course things came back up. I don't remember what it was intraday, but on a nasty down day, you get a spike down here to like 2000. And that's like, okay, look for a turn in the next day or two when you see that closing spike down toward 2000. This line is at like minus 1500. And, so when we get the breath coming down to this bullish level, we didn't get sentiment coming down there over the weekend, right? And maybe is this the new neutral, because this thing's been going sideways for so long. And, we haven't gotten a normal bullish signal, was back in November when we got the signal where they both had to agree coming down to bullish levels. And since then, well, that hasn't happened. So one of the things that we will see if this market continues to correct, I believe it would, because historically that's what happens, is that this line will start to come down again and it'll tag these lower bands, and this will be down here and we'll get a signal again. And where that is, I don't know. The tea leaves get kind of messy at this point. So, but we monitor them day to day and we see how it shapes up. All right. YM was the superstar yesterday. Right? That thing came all the way back up, and big giant bottoming tail. I mean, this is really wacky to have all of these tails like this and long tails coming back, and the closes are all about in the same area. So, I mean, I think if this goes back down again, it's hard to imagine. I mean, how many chances can you get to come up and then push above and fail? So I think one wide range red bar, and I think that's going to be it for going lower, because it begins to form this squared off top. And one big red bar, and I think that opens up the door to what I call a void. Sure, there is. So we got my green area there. But one of the things historically that you take note of is that when patterns go up and they go up, and say like the pullback would have started from here, and you got to pull back to this overlapping opens and closes, that's normal. You buy that pullback. But after it's been going sideways for so long and traders have been buying the dip, you've got more and more institutions that if you get a big red bar, they start saying, hey, it ain't working this time. Right? And they're all looking at each other like, what are we going to do? And so this is, if it fails, builds up an area of supply that can drive prices down. So pulling back after, 2 weeks or so of being in the same area, buying the dip, to expect this support area to hold becomes less likely, right? Just less likely. Anything's possible, but less likely. And so we'll see. I mean, they continue to buy the dip, but at some point you buy the dip, you're back up to where you were the day before that, and the day before that, and the day before that, and it doesn't go up. Common sense, if there is any of that left, starts telling somebody's tapping the shoulder of the other guy and saying, hey, you think the boss knows what the hell he's doing anymore here? Because this thing ain't going up. right? Whatever the Ichikumi cloud said, it ain't working this time. And so we'll see. So far it's just up and going sideways, looking at the closing prices here. All right. Okay. Jose, you took your money on SQ yesterday. Profits we had on the dip. Cool. All right. There was talking on today about them buying Bitcoin. Who's not buying Bitcoin, right, lately, and buying big? What the hell is that doing, by the way? It's up a couple of thousand points here. Take a look at Bitcoin. Yeah, it's pulling back. Big bar, kind of expected, kind of big ranges after a run like that. So it looks all good. You have the government making those tails, Mike McGee saying maybe Nancy Pelosi's in there spending the money that she's collecting from illegal immigrants to get across the border and, sending that in to buy the dip. I don't know. Some strange things going on in California. I'm joking, of course. All right. Russell is up here. All right. Bottoming tail bar, broke the lows. Inside days so far. You can see trading at the resistance area. All right. Simply look to the left. Right. This is on the charts every single morning. Hopefully this is starting to sink in, especially to those that are new to Master Trader. You don't need trend lines, fib nines, VWAP, or any of the other find tools. Just look to the left. Right? It's so simple. What an epiphany this was for me when, years ago, because I used to use all of this BS. And I was like, it didn't work that time. It didn't work again. It didn't work again. I was like, just look to the left, Greg. All right. So let's see, maybe get another one that's shaping up as a possible inside day. We looked at bonds. They're nearing that significant support and they're accelerating to the downside. All right. Now those that have been buying the dip here in bonds are like, this is what you see, prices start to move down vertically into an area of major support where it'll bottom, or it'll start to bottom, let's just say. But as prices go down, they hold. They go down. They hold. Igniting bar. They hold. Notice the topping tail bar. Right? That's a correction bar. That is a type of money bar right there. Someone in the chat room asked about a money bar yesterday in the green room. That is a money bar right there. Wide range igniting, sideways, pop, and down. So as more give up, things go vertical, or more that are on the sidelines when things are going up, right? And they say, hey, this thing's going to go up forever. You get vertical moves to the upside. Here we're getting a vertical move to the downside. All right, let me get done here. Oil is up again, right, coming up to the top of the range there. Gold still trying to bottom out. Lots of talk. Bitcoin's the new gold. Silver, a little disappointed, tell you the truth, that it's down here this morning, but still consolidating. Would have much preferred, of course, since we're long some silver stocks and stuff. Crypto stayed in the upper half there and take off. Yeah, we can count more bars on 1, 2, 3. They're asking me in YouTube there. All right, so we'll see what that does. And silver and transports, which have been showing the strength. And they came back yesterday. We'll see where this all ends up. So looking at today, potential inside day running in place. We'll see where it all goes. All yours, Dan.
Good morning. Yeah, that Bitcoin. I heard that Yellen said something which made it sell off, I guess, yesterday, whatever. And then I guess what's getting it pumped up today is Square saying they're buying 3,200 of them at an average price of $51,000 and change. Wow. That's an amazing endorsement of Bitcoin to buy that many at these levels. I just question where was Square, 6 months ago when you could have got it at incredibly better prices. All right, our opens all look fine, so just ask me if you have a question on anything. Robin asked me, saying she didn't get filled on Square, on Facebook put spread. With the gap down, nah, just hold off. But if it does take out the 30-minute high, then it's okay. And the drill, we want it to stay in the upper half, which it is right now, but nevertheless, it's gapping into this real body. Yeah, Austin, that's interesting comment. Zkin, what's going on here? Gapping up $10, but no pattern. What a beautiful wide range breakout right here, though. TBT, we're going to sell half, as we mentioned in our ETF trader. Thomas asking about a couple. FCX, it's far from the 20. There's no pattern. Things are weakening here pre-market, so I'm surely going to be chilling. Snap, crazy, crazy reversal yesterday. Somebody was in it in the green room and we said, just use your 30-minute disaster low. And that held, and wow, that's a big reversal bar, probably the biggest in its life. So gapping up here to 71. For a day trade, it's relative strength right now. So possibly. Millennium. And yeah, it's a bullish sideways daily, weekly. I like the bottoming tail. Yeah, that's worth watching. Greg, your city group we're looking at yesterday is gapping up and looking good here. This could be a day trade also.
I knew you shouldn't have stopped me for doing it, Dan.
Target low 68s. Yeah, they look good. Today in MT Live, we're going to be talking about, the subject is, comparing two setups in the same industry or compare them to sector. And then we're going to talk about different flavors of that using relative strength and playing the laggard, playing the catch up. So this was playing the catch up because it's underperforming XLF, but it was still a good setup. VRSK, it's a little sell setup, bear flag on the weekly. We'll come back to it. Upwork, $60. Wow, big gap at the resistance. No setup. SPT, no setup. SWR, gapping down a little bit, no setup. PPD, I can't tell where you're opening. We'll come back. Gap into resistance, no interest in that. These are all earning stocks. $21, gap into resistance. This one, McGraw, could possibly a condor. Let's see if you can, sell the 22s. Well, I don't know. That's a deep gap, so I don't know. Let's come back to it. This is a big mess with a bottoming tail. Arlo 823, bullish gap, but gap's too big. Into resistance. I like this one. I like this. This was a 1, 2, 3. And yesterday traded under it and a closing breakout. So I have that in this middle chart right here. But that looks fantastic. Daily, weekly. Now I know there's monthly resistance there, but the pattern on the daily and weekly doesn't concern me. It looks good. Gapping down 37.50, so that's a bearish gap. This one could be a condor. And if you can do the 41s, 35s. Massey, it's on support, bottoming tail, but I don't know where you're opening. MTG, I see one print down here at 1250, but if it can take out yesterday's high, looks higher, you got a price void. Intuit getting whacked and looks lower, but it's a big move down at the 50. You know, it might maybe 30-minute high, do a put spread for Friday. RRC, no pattern. Eric's asking about FSR. Over yesterday's high, but the gap's too big. Look, Eric's, it's gapping too big, and it's sloppy. It's not a good gapper. PXD, maybe 30-minute high. It looks higher, daily, weekly, monthly. Or if you can do a put spread to 135s, 30-minute high. There's a big bullish gap, RRD. That could be a long-term bottom right there. That uh, target 650. That'd be a double, 650 to 10.